Hello ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. Today, we have a brand new Valorant update. We have 6 new agent dossiers, a new voicemail from Sova, and a brand new email from Cipher, so let's just get right into it. Alright, starting it off, I'm gonna start with the brand new agent dossier, starting with Neon. So on Neon's dossier, we find out that her real name is Tala Nicole de Mapi Valdez. I'm sorry if I messed up the pronunciation there, but her note reads as such. Control. Your father had it with his mind. Radiant support technologies that made life livable for millions. A path that started with you. Control. Your mother had it with her service. Transforming her community for the better through the adherence to justice and law. Control. Your mentors Ling and Xianya have had it with their power. Living examples of radiant possibility. Control. The gift so many yearn to give you. The one thing you will never have. So we're seeing the blackmailer once again trying to get into the agents' heads. And so far, the one thing we know about Neon is that she struggles with control. We know from an old voice line that she wears a limiter on her back, but even with the limiter, she can power an entire city block. So it's safe to assume that Neon is very scared of losing control of her powers, and that it might have happened before. This note mentions her father, who I'm guessing is a Radiant. Because from the note we can see that there are radiant support technologies that make life livable for normal people who got radiant powers. This note also mentions her mother, who I'm guessing is either a lawyer, a judge, or a law enforcement officer. It also references her mentors, Ling and Xianya. Ling, I'm guessing, might be Sage. Because from the last update we know that Sage's name is Ling Ying Wei. But this other person's name got me thinking. I googled name origins, and Xianya is an Aztec name, and Aztecs used to live in modern-day Mexico. So I'm gonna take a wild guess and assume this is referencing Reina. She's the only agent on the Valorant protocol of Mexican origin, and we technically don't know her canon name. There was an old Sage voice line that said her name was Delilah, but we've seen many agents have their names retconned, so I think my guess is still pretty valid. If I'm correct, that means Reina and Sage have been teaching Neon during her time with the Valorant protocol. We do know that Sage is a mentor to most all of the agents, but we also know that Reina doesn't really like to socialize with other members of the Valorant protocol. Reina did, however, leave a note for Neon right after she first joined, trying to get Neon on her side. Anyway, the last line reads, Control. The gift so many yearn to give you, and the one thing you'll never have. That is a direct dig at Neon's fear, her fear of losing control. And Neon being so young, this note will definitely get in her head. The next note we have is for Breach, who we find out his name is Eric Torsten. The note reads, The Torsten family was pursued and punished, but not you, Eric. Not the congenital amputee. The judge couldn't see past your disability. They insult you with piteous lenience, unwanted, unneeded, undeserved. So you struck back, the Stockholm Radianite Reserve, the Gothenburg job, your trip to Salvador. Ignoring you became impossible. Notoriety so high you had to disappear. You showed them you're as much a Torsten as the rest. Was the lesson worth it? Knowing now you can never go home? So we know that Breach used to be a criminal and that he ran jobs with Raze before they both joined the Valorant protocol. But this note is giving us something that we never knew before, that Breach's whole family were criminals. His whole family, criminals. That makes a lot of sense, actually. So this note is basically saying that he was overlooked when the officials busted his entire family. They pitied him because he was an amputee, and so that's what started his more extreme crimes. It also references his trip to Salvador, which might point to him meeting Raze, since we know that Raze is from Central America. But all of his crimes came with a price, and now he can't ever go home, because he is so notable. This, I feel, is definitely a dig at some of his insecurities. Maybe that he always felt unmatched in his own family and that he needed to do more. But anyway, let's head on over to the next note. Next up, we have our favorite nerdy scientist, Kiljoy. And we find out her name is actually Clara Boranger. I think that's how you pronounce it. I googled it and I'm trying my best, okay? Her note reads as such. Clara Boranger, distinguished inventor nominee, Kingdom R&D lead at 18. Zara and Emil must have been so proud. Perhaps you were too successful. How many breakthroughs did you hand over without a thought of the implications? How many innovations did you champion only for others to twist for a purpose you never dreamed? Good inventions count for little, ignorance even less. So I must ask, do you have any idea how bloody your hands truly are? Man, this is giving us a lot of insight into Kiljoy, but also this is a huge dig on her entire character. We now know that she was a distinguished inventor nominee and she worked for Kingdom as R&D lead at 18 years old. We also find out the names of, I'm assuming, her parents, Zara and Emil. But the wording has me somewhat confused. It almost seems like the blackmailer is implying that they died. The must have been so proud is throwing me for a loop, making me think that maybe they actually aren't here anymore. Which makes sense because we know that most people who join the VP don't have anything else in their lives anymore. They're forced to give up their normal lives. Anyway, this is also alluding to her inventions being used for evil, and begging the question, how bloody your hands truly are. Maybe Kingdom used her inventions to destroy other people's lives? I'm not quite sure, but I hope we find out either in the next update or the next cinematic. Next up we have Cipher, and we know that his name was Amir long ago, but we actually get his full name this time, Amir El Amari. Anyway, let's get into the note. Your safe houses are quite comfortable, Amir. The basement in Rabat, the Tangier apartment, your lovely den in Marrakesh. Such hospitality. Already, your mind is churning. You'll abandon these compromised locations, start again, hide deeper, cease to exist. And your face, you've considered revealing it to those closest to you, but no, too risky. The mask stays on, because what's another year without Nora seeing your eyes, or sharing a smile with your little one? So we know that this blackmailer has compromised all of Cipher's safe houses. And from what we know of Cipher, we know that he's a very secretive person. And so the blackmailer's assumption would be correct. He would hide deeper, find new places, and continue to cease to exist. This note also tells us that Cipher never showed his face to Nora, or his child. The mask always stays on. And we know that his wife and child are dead. That's why he joined the protocol. And so using his dead family as munition to get into his head is a very low blow. One that we know the blackmailer is not afraid to deal. The next one we have up is Sova, a fan favorite we now know is Sasha Novikov. And his note reads, Sasha Novikov, the man who never missed a shot. Never is a strange word. Think of the weight it carries. It's a legacy you made before you took the name Sova. From when they called you Filin, brother of steel and string. But never is a lie. You've missed your shot before. It'll happen again. Despite training, despite denial, your aim will falter when it matters most. And then you must ask yourself, what was your legacy even for? Oh man, okay, so we learned that Sova was always an archer. Which makes sense because he's very good at what he does. We also know from the voicemail, which I'll discuss later, that Sova will be going after this blackmailer. So what I think the blackmailer is trying to do is to get into his head and tell him, when you come after me, you're not gonna be able to take the shot. You're gonna miss, and you're gonna regret it for the rest of your life. That will make Sova question himself. And when the time really comes, he might just actually miss. Last but very much not least, we share the same name. It is Sky. And her real name is Kira Foster. Her note reads, You have quite the resume, Kira. The Nimbin project failure, the Blue Mountains miracle, South Coast, Son Rocks, Kangaroo Valley, on and on. Has the Great Reclaimer lost her way? You fought Kingdom for years. How is Valorant any different? The money? The agenda? Just another corporate machine. And when they whistle, you come running. A wild beast brought to heel. Can you remain their dutiful pet, even as the wilds wither and your world burns? This blackmailer is asking all the questions that will make Skye wonder if she made the right decision joining Valorant. We know that Skye grew up in a farm, and we know that she loves nature and will protect it at all costs. That's why she started to fight Kingdom. That's why she started to reclaim the lands that Kingdom took, and repopulate them and help it regrow back to its former glory. But what the blackmailer is telling her is that Kingdom and Valorant are the same. It's the same corporate machine. This blackmailer is asking her, are you sure you want to stay here, even when the rest of the world is crumbling? Why aren't you helping the way you used to? And that will invoke a type of guilt in Skye to ask herself, yeah, what have I been doing? Fighting people? What have I been actually helping? And I think that'll get into her head just enough to make her question her entire identity in Valorant. So we've seen most of the dossiers so far. There are still a few agents to cover, but right now we have 12 whole agents that we have found out so much about. And I bet there's more coming. I bet this blackmailer will keep going until he targets every single agent in this protocol. We do only have 6 more agents left that he hasn't gone after, but that's probably subject to change in the next update. Anyway, if you want to watch my analysis and breakdown of the previous batch of agent dossiers that we received, go check out my latest video. Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled programming. So on top of the new agent dossiers, we do have a new voicemail from Sova to Brimstone.
Commander, the strike team to apprehend this blackmailer. You asked for my recommendations. Besides myself, we must send Cipher. No one else can handle surveillance of an entire city. Chamber can provide fire support from a vantage position. Breach has a history with extractions. It would be foolish not to take advantage. Neon can help cover ground quickly. Also, she needs a break from Kiljoy. Those two have been cooped up in the lab for too long, and Ko has agreed to pilot the Vulture. 5 on the ground, 1 in the skies. This is good. We will bring this threat to justice, Brimstone. You have my word.
We hear that Sova has an entire strike force planned for this bust on the blackmailer. And from his wording, we can almost clue into where he's going. We know that they're going to a city, but we don't exactly know which one. But having this strike force and going on this mission almost makes me think that Valorant will introduce a co-op story mode for you to play this mission to extract the blackmailer. If that is the case and Valorant will be coming out with a story mode, that would be absolutely insane, and I really think that it's a good idea to continue to further the lore with story game modes. Now let's head on over to the last bit I'm going to cover today, Cipher's email to Brimstone. The email reads, I traced the threats. I had something of a breakthrough with those encrypted messages from our dear blackmailer. The exact origin point is still unknown, but it came from somewhere in Turkey. Of this, I am certain. Now, you must answer the question. What will you do when we find this person? Your conscience is too troublesome for an execution. But what alternatives are there? I do not know. So now we know that the city they're going to is probably going to be somewhere in Turkey. But Cipher also brings up a very good point. What will you do to this person once you find them? You can't just kill them, can you? What I think this might be alluding to is that they might try to recruit this blackmailer. As crazy as that sounds, I don't really see any alternatives. since they can't really turn this person in to the authorities since the Valorant protocol is a secret. So what else is there to do other than to recruit them? But that's just a theory. A game theory. Okay, I'm not even gonna go there. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will be making more of these as more updates come out and we get more information. And I'm also thinking about making somewhat of a Valorant series in the future, maybe dealing with all things lore, character lore, world lore, and all that good stuff. So stay tuned for those. Thank you so much for watching again. Please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below what you think of my theories. I'm down to discuss, so, you know, give me all you got. Anyway, thank you for watching, and bye-bye.